I watched a plumbing company borrow $50,000 and triple their revenue in 8 months. I also watched a retail store borrow $50,000 and close within a year. Same amount, same speed, but completely different outcomes. And the difference was that one owner knew exactly how the money would make them more money. The other one just crossed their fingers and hoped it would work out. Hi, I'm Ben from Funderbear, and at Funderbear, we've helped businesses access over $1 billion in honest growth capital. We don't lend the money ourselves, we match businesses with the right lenders. So think of it like Tinder, but for business loans. But here's what makes us different, is that we help owners understand the real cost and the real upside before they sign anything. Because fast financing isn't good or bad, it's a tool. And like any tool, it can build something incredible or it can blow up buildings and destroy concrete, right? So today I'm going to show you the exact equation smart business owners use to decide if debt helps their business or destroys their business. And by the end of the video, you'll know when fast financing is the smartest move you can make, when it's financial suicide, and the 4-step framework to decide if borrowing makes sense. So let's run through the playbook. Most business owners make one of two catastrophic mistakes. Mistake number one, they avoid debt completely and watch competitors who borrowed pass them by. And I think that this comes from how people think, right? You have to realize that personal income is different to business income, and personal debt is different to business debt. If you take out a loan to go on holiday, or you take out a loan to buy a new MacBook, or you take out a loan to buy a car, that is very different to purchasing construction equipment to take on more projects for your business. So I want to just get that myth out of the way. Business debt and personal debt are two very different things. Mistake number two, they take debt emotionally, based on desperation or excitement, and then 6 months later, they regret it when the payments hit. So here's the truth. Fast financing isn't the problem. Unclear upside is. According to the Small Business Administration, businesses fail not because they borrowed money, but because they borrowed money without a clear plan to make it back. Debt only works when it creates more money than it costs. So let's start taking a look at the 4 steps. Only take on debt if it increases profit, capacity, or speed more than the cost of the capital. So let me break this down into 4 steps you can use right now. Step 1. What does the money actually buy you? Before you borrow a single dollar, ask yourself, does this increase my revenue? Does this increase my profit margin? Does this increase my capacity to serve more customers? If the answer is no to all 3, stop right there and don't borrow. So here are a few real examples that pass the test. A landscaping company buys a second truck. Now they can handle 50% more jobs. A bakery buys a commercial mixer and it cuts their production time in half. It doubles the output. A contractor buys materials in bulk and he saves 30% per project with higher margins. A salon hires 2 more stylists and immediately books more appointments. And here's a few examples that fail. I need to refresh my brand. I want nicer office furniture. I'm not sure yet, but it feels like the right time. One of our clients bought a $40,000 piece of equipment that replaced 20 hours of manual labor per week. That's 80 hours a month they could redirect to revenue generating work. That is what we call leverage. Step 2. How fast does it pay itself back? Here's the difference between smart debt and stupid debt. Good debt pays itself back within 3 to 12 months. It has a clear direct link to revenue and it creates cash flow that covers the payments. But bad debt has no timeline. It relies on hopefully we will grow. It creates payments you have to scramble to cover. So let me give you a real scenario. A wholesaler distributor borrows $60,000 to buy inventory in bulk. Their normal cost per unit is around $50. Their bulk cost per unit is $15 less at $35. So they are moving around 500 units per month. And here's the math. $15 saved per unit times 500 equals $7,500 per month in additional margin. The loan pays itself back in 8 months. After that, it's pure profit. That's the difference between using capital and drowning in debt. Step 3. Compare cost versus upside. This is where the magic happens, or where you realize you're about to make a huge mistake. So let's do some simple math. Let's say that financing costs you $30,000 total. That's including interest and fees. But it allows you to land a $150,000 contract you couldn't take before. It allows you to generate an additional $80,000 in profit over 12 months by purchasing equipment. It allows you to increase your capacity by 40%. That's not debt. That's capital allocation for growth. Jeff Bezos famously said, growth consumes cash before it produces profit. Amazon borrowed and raised billions, not because the company was struggling, but because Bezos understood that the right capital at the right time creates exponential returns. A cleaning company that we know borrowed $25,000 to buy equipment and hire their first 2 employees. Their cost of financing was $28,500 with interest included. Those 2 employees and that equipment resulted in an additional revenue in year 1 of $120,000. And their net profit after all expenses was $42,000. They spent on financing $28,500 and turned it into $42,000 of pure profit. That's a 147% return. Step 4, never finance operating losses. Here's where fast financing becomes dangerous. Fast financing turns deadly when your revenue is declining instead of growing, your margins are shrinking and not expanding, and there's no clear way to pay it back except you just sitting there and hoping that things will turn around. So let's be brutally clear. Using debt to patch holes in your ship is completely different from using it to build capacity. So here is a bad example. A restaurant is losing $5,000 a month. The owner borrows $50,000 to keep the lights on. And they're hoping that marketing will fix it because they've paid some small influencer to shout out their restaurant. 6 months later, they've burned through the $50,000 and they owe it back. Now they're losing $5,000 a month plus $2,000 in loan payments. That's how businesses die when they take on credit card debt that they can't afford. That's how businesses die when they take on bank debt that they can't afford, or they meet up with these loan sharks that they found in a Facebook group. Smart owners fund growth, not survival. And if your business isn't already making money, fast financing won't save you. So you need to go back to the fundamentals and fix them first. So let's make this crystal clear. Fast financing works best for inventory, vehicles, equipment, expansion, contract funding, and hiring revenue generating roles. It works worst for covering operating losses or lifestyle spending disguised as business investment, undefined growth plans with no numbers attached, and panic decisions made out of desperation. So before you borrow, ask these 3 questions. Can I clearly explain how this makes me more money? Can I see the payback timeline in months, not years? Is my business already profitable or growing? If you answered yes to all 3, you're probably looking at smart capital. If you answered no to any of them, don't do it. Here's what I want you to remember. Fast business financing isn't about speed. It's about clarity on the ROI. The plumbing company that I mentioned at the start that borrowed $50,000 from our network, they bought 2 vans, they hired 2 plumbers, and immediately started taking jobs they used to turn down. Revenue went from $40,000 a month to $115,000 a month in 8 months. That retail store, they borrowed to cover slow sales and figure it out later. They had no plan, they had no upside. They were just hoping. It was the same money deployed, but just different outcomes. And that's how businesses grow. Not by avoiding capital, but by using it with precision. Thank you so much for watching, and you have a prosperous year ahead. Take care of yourself, stay healthy, stay focused, and stay busy. Bye for now.